Anyone who gets angry at your boundaries was planning to violate them. Anyone who respects your boundaries was planning to respect them. Your no is literally sorting people into categories they belong in. Let's talk about what happens when you finally set a boundary and someone loses their mind. You know that moment when you say, I can't do that, and they act like you've personally attacked them? Their reaction tells you everything you need to know. Comment below if you've ever set a reasonable boundary and someone acted like you declared war. I once told someone I couldn't lend them money anymore, and they didn't speak to me for like 6 weeks. Over my own money. Can you imagine? Subscribe now if you're ready to understand why some people rage when you have standards and what their anger is really telling you. Welcome to Haven Hub. I'm Lolly, a life coach and your guide and fellow traveler for strong, high-functioning women navigating life's hardest chapters with dignity and honesty. And each week we name the quiet struggles, unpack the emotional weight, and explore the shifts that move you towards clarity and what you actually want. You don't need to fix yourself, you just need a way through. You finally do it. You tell your parents you're not coming to Sunday dinner every single week. You let your friend know you can't be her free therapist anymore. You inform your boss that no, you won't be answering emails at 11 p.m. anymore. And then the explosion. The guilt trips. The I can't believe you're doing this to me. The after everything I've done for you. If you know, you know. The sudden cold shoulder, the passive-aggressive posts on social media that are definitely about you. And suddenly, you're the villain in their story. You're selfish. You're cruel. You're not the person they thought you were. All because you said one simple no. All because you claimed one piece of your life back. Here's what's really happening. They're not mad about your boundary. They're mad about losing access to you, like when Ross from Friends freaked out every time Rachel tried to have her own life. His anger wasn't about love, it was about control. You setting boundaries feels like betrayal to people who benefited from you having no boundaries. They got used to you being available 24/7, solving their problems, absorbing their emotions, being their emotional support human without reciprocation. I want you to type rage if someone has ever punished you for having boundaries. And I mean punished, like silent treatment or the guilt trips or character assassination. You know, the whole show. Now, here's a truth bomb for you. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. I said it, yes. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. People who use you will resist them. Their reaction to your no is a crystal clear window into how they see you. Think about it. When someone who genuinely cares about you sets a boundary, what do? You might feel disappointed. Yeah, sure. But you respect it, you adjust, you figure it out because you see them as a whole person with needs, not just a resource for your comfort. Now, watch what happens when you're someone's emotional gas station. They've been filling up on your energy whenever they want, never checking if you have anything left in your tank. Then suddenly, you put up an out of service sign, they don't go find another station, they bang on your door, demanding you open up just for them. Like in Devil Wears Prada, when Andy finally starts saying no to Miranda. Miranda doesn't reflect on her demands. She punishes Andy for daring to have limits. Because to Miranda, Andy isn't a person, she is a function. I know someone whose friend would call her every week to vent about her marriage every single week for hours. When my friend finally said she could only talk once a week, her friend called her heartless and told their group of friends she was going through something and being weird with her. The friend wasn't upset about losing connection, you see. She was upset about losing her free dumping ground because if she actually cared about connection, her friend would have noticed she was drowning. You see, this is the test. When you set a boundary, do they actually ask about your needs? Or do they make it about their loss? Do they try to understand, or do they try to manipulate you? Their response shows you who they really are when they can't use you anymore. Your boundaries are actually gifts. They show people how to love you well. They prevent resentment from poisoning the relationship. They create space for genuine connection instead of extraction. Think about Brienne of Tarth in Game of Thrones. She had clear boundaries about respect and honor. The people who couldn't handle those boundaries, they revealed themselves as people who didn't deserve her loyalty. The one who respected them, they got her fierce devotion. When you set a boundary, you're saying, here's how we can have a sustainable relationship. You're preventing the slow death of connection that happens when one person gives until they're empty. You are stopping the cycle where you give, resent, withdraw, and they wonder what went wrong. This reframe is exactly what we work on in the December workshop. You learn how to present boundaries as relationship investments, not rejections. The scripts I teach you position boundaries as care, not combat. Grab your spot below if you're ready to transform how you think about protecting your peace. Real boundaries sound like, I care about our friendship, which is why I need to be honest about my capacity. Or it sounds like, I want to show up fully for you, and I can only do that if I take care of my energy. You're not building walls. You're building sustainable bridges in your relationships. The people who are meant to be in your life will understand this. They'll appreciate your honesty. They might even be relieved because they've been feeling the strain too, but didn't know how to address it. Let's decode the manipulation tactics you'll face when you set boundaries, because forewarned is forearmed. The first one is the guilt trip classic. And then they say something like, I guess I'm just a burden to you now. This is designed to make you defend yourself, to prove you still care by dropping your boundaries. Don't take the bait. Try, I understand you're hurt. My boundary still stands. Another type is the historical reference, where they say something like, remember when I did X for you? They're trying to cash in past kindness like it's a debt you owe. And then the real question is, were they being kind or were they being nice because they were trying to get it back from you at a different time? Your response can be something along the lines of, I appreciated that. It doesn't change my current capacity though. The third one is the character assassination, when they say something like, you've changed, you used to be so giving. The translation in there is that you used to be easier to use. So your response to that is, you're right, I have changed. I've learned to take care of myself too. It is what it is. The fourth one is the threat, when they say something like, fine, then I won't be there when you need me. You see, this is meant to scare you back into compliance. You need to call their bluff and say something like, listen, I understand if you need to make that choice. And that's what it is. Like when Emily in Paris finally stopped letting Sylvie walk all over her. Sylvie tried every manipulation tactic, from guilt to threats to character attacks. Emily held firm, and she showed her that the dynamic had permanently shifted. So here's what you need to remember. Their tantrum is not your emergency. Their emotional regulation is not your responsibility. Let them feel their feelings about your boundary. You don't need to fix. You don't need to soothe. You don't need to apologize for taking care of yourself. And that's on period. Now let's talk about the grief that comes with boundaries. Because setting them means accepting some relationships won't survive. And that loss is real. When you stop being endlessly available, some people will disappear. The friend who only called when she needed something, gone. The relative who only visited when they needed a favor, gone. The colleague who was so friendly when you did their work, suddenly cold. And don't forget that friend who always asks you for money because, they needed to cover payday. And then when payday comes around, they'll send it back to you. This grief is something we process together in the workshop. You are not alone in feeling sad about relationships that couldn't survive you having needs. We'll work through the permission slip prompts to help you realize relationships that We're actually transactional. So on December 2nd, let's do that healing together. This disappearance is painful, I assure you, but it is very clarifying. You're not losing your real friendships. You're not losing your real relationships. You're losing the transactional ones that were disguised as relationships. The grief is definitely real, but so is the relief of not performing anymore. Like when Christina Yang on Grey's Anatomy refused to dim her ambition for Owen. It hurt to lose him, of course, but the freedom of not shrinking herself was worth more than a relationship that required her diminishment. So the relationships that remain, they will end up transforming. Without the resentment poisoning them, they can actually flourish. The friend who respects your no becomes someone you genuinely want to say yes to. The family member who honors your limits becomes someone you choose to be close to, not someone you endure out of obligation. Now here's your permission slip. You're allowed to disappoint people who are comfortable disappointing you. You're allowed to upset people who never considered your feelings. You're allowed to inconvenience people who treat you like a convenience store. Your boundaries are not mean. They're mirrors. They reflect back who people really are. The ones who can't handle seeing their reflection, they're telling you they need you to stay small for them to feel big. They need you to stay empty for them to feel full. Your assignment this week, notice reactions. When you set a boundary, watch what happens. Do they negotiate? Do they respect it? Do they attack? Do they adjust? Do they make it about them or ask about you? Start keeping a mental note of who can handle you as a full person and who needs you to be a service provider. If you're ready to master this completely, join me for protecting your peace without feeling guilty on December the 2nd. So in about 45 minutes to an hour, you'll map out your specific boundary challenges and get scripts for the exact people who push your limits. You'll learn how to stay calm when they explode, how to hold firm when they manipulate, and how to release the guilt when they play victim. The boundary reset toolkit you get includes templates for every scenario. So things like family drama, friendship manipulation, workplace boundary crossing, all of it. And you're going to get the complete toolkit plus replay access so you can look at it again if you need, a little bit of a reminder. The link's going to be in the description. We're keeping it intimate so everyone gets their specific situation addressed. Remember this, anyone who gets angry at your boundaries was planning to violate them. Anyone who respects your boundaries was planning to respect them. Your no is literally sorting people into categories they belong in. I want you to drop a comment. Who in your life revealed themselves when you set a boundary? What did their reaction teach you? Thank you for listening today. If this stirred something in you, send it to somebody who'd get it too. You never know who's holding the same thing quietly. I'm Lolly, and I'll see you next time. Until then, keep choosing yourself. Bye.